everyone. Vivo is positioning the X300 Ultra as something more than just a smartphone. It's aiming to deliver a true mirrorless camera experience in your pocket. That sounds impressive, but it's also a pretty abstract claim. So the real question is, has Vivo actually pulled it off? To find out, we spent nearly a full week shooting with the phone, traveling from Shenzhen to Hong Kong. We tested almost every shooting mode, captured thousands of photos and videos, and really pushed the device to its limits. What you're about to hear is our complete verdict based on that hands-on experience. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. Let's start with the core highlight of the X300 Ultra, its Zeiss 3+2 master lens system. The 3 represents the 3 built-in cameras. First, there's a 14mm ultra-wide lens paired with a Sony IMX8118 sensor, featuring a 1.28-inch size and 50 megapixel resolution. Then you've got the 35mm main camera using a Sony IMX901 sensor, which is even larger at 1.12-inch and delivers 200 megapixels. Finally, there's the 85mm telephoto lens with a Samsung HP0 sensor, also 200 megapixel, and a 1.4-inch sensor size. All 3 lenses use large sensors and operate at what you could call main camera level, meaning none of them feel like a secondary or weaker option. The 2 in this system refers to 2 detachable external telephoto lenses, extending your reach to 200mm and even 400mm. Now, the 35mm main camera setup actually started with the previous generation, and at the time it sparked quite a bit of debate. Now in its second iteration, when you look at the full focal length system Vivo has built, it becomes clear this wasn't a random decision. It's part of a well thought out strategy. No single lens is overwhelmingly dominant, but each one is strong enough to stand on its own, which is actually pretty rare. The system works cohesively for both photography and video, and it really shows how Vivo has refined things over time with better sensors and overall tuning. Now, when it comes to video, the X300 Ultra is easily among the top contenders in the smartphone world right now. You're getting 4K at 120 FPS across all focal lengths, 10-bit log recording, full focal length optical image stabilization, and APV-4R professional encoding. Each of these features is impressive on its own, but what really stands out is that full focal length support. Whether you're shooting at 14mm, 35mm, or 85mm, or even using the 200mm and 400mm external lenses, you're not forced to compromise between framing and quality. That flexibility makes a huge difference. But interestingly, the feature that impressed me the most wasn't the log recording or even the pro controls. It was the frame style and frame look modes. Frame style is designed for a pure cinematic feel, locking you into a 2.4:1 aspect ratio at 4K 24 FPS. It adds film grain, subtle halos, slight vignetting, and even mimics motion blur you'd expect from 24 FPS footage. On the other hand, frame look is more flexible. It supports both 16:9 and 2.4:1 aspect ratios and goes up to 4K 60 FPS. We ended up using frame look for most of our footage simply because it's more practical. Shooting at 60 FPS gives you smoother motion and more freedom when moving the camera, while frame style, although visually stunning, feels a bit restrictive due to the 24 FPS limitation. With frame look, you get that cinematic vibe without sacrificing flexibility. I spent an entire day in Hong Kong shooting with these 2 modes, getting off the subway, walking through busy streets, hopping on ferries, all handheld. The results genuinely felt cinematic. One particular clip of exiting a subway station stood out immediately. The tones matched perfectly with Hong Kong's urban architecture, and the overall look was incredibly immersive right from the first glance. Stabilization was another pleasant surprise. At one point, we were filming from a ferry while the boat was rocking, and we were also actively moving the camera. Normally, that kind of situation would lead to shaky footage, but the final result was impressively stable. The Pro mode is also worth talking about. Once you enable it, the interface transforms into something that feels very close to a professional cinema camera monitor. You get audio levels displayed in the top left, a focus or exposure map on the top right, and all your key parameters lined up neatly at the bottom. It puts all the essential tools in one place, so you're not constantly switching menus during a shoot. That said, there are a few areas where it could improve. For example, It would be great if the Pro mode could remember your last used settings, because currently things like resolution and frame rate reset every time you reopen it. A quick access adjustment option would also make things more efficient, and support for more recording formats would be a welcome addition. These feel like things that could be addressed through future updates, which would make the system even stronger. Now, we can't talk about smartphone video without mentioning the iPhone. For years, it's been widely accepted that iPhones set the standard for video, especially when it comes to color consistency, stability, and the post-production ecosystem. And to be fair, Apple has earned that reputation. When you put the X300 Ultra side by side with an iPhone, you can really see the gap starting to close, and in some areas, even shift. The ultra-wide camera on the Vivo, with its larger 1.28-inch sensor, delivers noticeably better resolution and image quality. It's not even a close contest in that regard. The telephoto setup is equally impressive, offering a large sensor and 200 megapixel resolution, plus the ability to extend all the way to 200 millimeters or 400 millimeter, something the iPhone simply doesn't match in terms of focal range. On top of that, the frame style and frame look modes give you cinematic results straight out of the camera, reducing the need for heavy editing. For most people, that kind of ready-to-use output is a huge advantage. Of course, Apple still holds an edge in certain areas, especially with its ProRes and RAW video consistency, which is valuable for professional workflows. But for everyday users, in the vast majority of real-world scenarios, our testing shows that Vivo has not only caught up, but in some cases surpassed the experience in terms of ease of use and outright image quality. As for stability, we ran a long recording test in 4K 60 FPS using Pro mode, and the phone recorded continuously for over 3 hours. The battery dropped from 95% to 27%, there were no overheating issues, and the footage had 0 frame drops. That level of reliability is seriously impressive. So that covers video. Now let's move on to photography. When it comes to color, Vivo is introducing what it calls Blueprint Native Color, which is designed to reduce that overly processed AI-heavy look and bring images closer to what you'd expect from a real camera. In real-world use, the native color mode is easily my top pick. The colors feel balanced, natural, and consistent without that overly sharpened or artificial look you sometimes get. At the same time, the images still carry that lively, camera-like character with strong saturation and crisp detail. So if you end up getting this phone, the first thing I'd recommend is switching the default setting to native color. Out of the 3 lenses, the biggest surprise for me was actually the 14mm ultra wide. The edge sharpness here is honestly some of the best I've ever seen on a smartphone. One of my colleagues even tested it by shooting text near the edges of the frame, and after zooming in, it was still clear and readable. When shooting vertically, like for street scenes or store visits, the 14mm lens delivers a really bold and immersive perspective. We also spent a full day shooting portraits with a model, and the results were impressive. Skin tones looked accurate and natural, and the background blur felt smooth and realistic. Even when zooming in, details like skin texture and hair remained sharp and well-defined, without any of that overly processed or smeared effect you sometimes notice on phones. Overall, the triple camera system performs at a true flagship level. Whether it's resolution, color, or motion capture, everything feels refined. The ultra-wide and telephoto lenses in particular really stand out in this generation. Now, beyond the built-in cameras, we have to talk about the camera kit itself, because this is what really transforms the experience. On its own, the X300 Ultra is already a very capable camera phone, but once you add the kit, it starts to feel like a full mirrorless setup. Without it, it's a great phone. With it, it becomes something much closer to a professional camera. Let's start with the teleconverters. There are 2 options, one equivalent to 200mm and another reaching 400mm. To install them, you first swap out the lens ring on the phone case with the adapter ring, then attach the teleconverter and activate it. Once it's set up, you don't need to restart anything. You can quickly switch between them using the button in the bottom left corner of the camera interface. In actual use, the experience is surprisingly smooth. Even shooting handheld without any stabilizer, the image stabilization does a great job correcting shake. Combined with the built-in OIS on the 85mm lens, the success rate for handheld shots is impressively high. 400mm lens, in particular, produces very natural compression and background blur, something you almost never see on a smartphone. Then there's the control handle, which adds a whole new level of usability. It comes with a dedicated record button, so you don't have to rely on tapping the screen. Press it once, and a green light turns on to indicate the phone is powered. The dial feels precise and well damped, letting you adjust things like exposure compensation, shutter speed, and white balance with ease. The two-stage shutter button works just like a real camera. Half press to focus, full press to capture, which makes street photography feel much more intuitive. The build quality of these accessories is also worth mentioning. This generation uses a silver finish that feels premium and metallic. Whether it's the smooth resistance when attaching lenses, sturdiness of the mount, or even how it sits on a table, everything feels thoughtfully designed. Honestly, this doesn't feel like a typical phone accessory. It feels like a proper piece of camera gear. Outside of the camera system, the phone itself is well equipped too. It runs on a fully powered Flagship processor, packs a 6600 mAh battery, and supports 100-watt fast charging. Initially, we were a bit concerned that 6600 mAh might not be enough by today's standards, but in real usage, the battery held up better than expected. During our time in Hong Kong, we were constantly shooting, one phone handling video, the other taking photos, and we only needed to charge about once every half day without constantly searching for a charger. The display is a 2K flat panel with a 144 Hz refresh rate, which works well outdoors, and the speakers are noticeably improved compared to previous Vivo models. At this point, you probably have a clear idea of what the X300 Ultra is capable of. While most flagship phones are still pushing image quality forward, especially in telephoto zoom, Vivo is taking a slightly different path. It's experimenting with more ambitious focal lengths and a more advanced camera system, while also focusing heavily on improving video, something Android devices have traditionally struggled with. From the lens setup to film style modes, like from full range log recording to a dedicated pro video interface, it's clear that Vivo isn't just following trends. It's carving out its own direction. Personally, I really enjoyed using this device, especially for video work. As for whether Vivo's mirrorless camera approach will truly succeed, that's something only time and the market can decide. But let me leave you with something interesting. Remember the spinning top from the beginning of the video? In the movie Knife Gate Space, it's used to tell reality apart from dreams. In this video, we actually mixed footage from the X300 Ultra with clips from a Sony S3. So here's the question. This 200mm telephoto shot, is it from the Sony or the Vivo? What about the handheld 400mm bird footage? Or the street scenes in Hong Kong? Even the main footage you're watching right now, can you confidently tell which camera it came from? If there's even a bit of hesitation, even a moment of doubt, then maybe that says something. Maybe it means Vivo has truly stepped into the mirrorless camera space. All right, that's it for this video. What do you think about the Vivo X300 Ultra? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Put a lot of effort into testing this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.